Hello, Math Stars. So we're starting the second lesson to review the pack that was sent home. The second lesson will be on order of operations, which we commonly call in the classroom PEMDAS. Now, this is something we covered probably around November, so not extremely long ago, but enough time that we're going to need a review for this. Okay. Now, the page that's in our booklet, we'll be working with pages 3 and 4. Page 3 is where you solve the problem, and when you come up with your answer, you can check to see if you find that number on page 4, and if you find the number, then you know you're correct, and you color it with the coordinating color. Okay. Now, these are order of operation problems that you would see more so towards the end of the school year in May and June. So they're a little bit more challenging, especially 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to use a different paper activity to work through some problems with you. But before we get started, I would like to show you some think tracks. I would suggest you pausing the video so that you can copy this down on a sheet of paper. Okay, this is our think track that we will always write whenever you see order of operations, PEMDAS. To review, P stands for parentheses. Parentheses are the most important. Anything that you must do first, you put in parentheses. E is the second important, and it stands for exponents. Exponents will be written with a base number and an exponent. There will be another mini lesson to explain exponents later on in this series. Then we have an M and a D, and they're written on the same line because if you remember, multiplication and division, they have equal power. And you solve multiplication and division depending on which one comes first when you move left to right through the problem. So they have equal power. The same thing with A and S, adding and subtraction. They have equal power, that's why they're written on the same line. Now, it does not mean that you solve addition problems before subtraction. The arrow is here to remind you that you move left to right. Okay, so take a moment to look at that, copy that down somewhere. Okay, now since these are the more challenging problems, I will call up another activity for us to work from. Okay, I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, and the same thing on this sheet. It has our think track, but you can't rely on it always being on the paper. You have to be able to write it yourself. Okay, so whenever you have orders of operation, right away, you should make your think track. PEMDAS. Okay, always write that. Okay, so now we have to circle the step we're going to solve first. We have 3 times 9 or 9 plus 7. Which one should we do first, multiplication or addition? If I look at my chart, multiplication comes first. That is what I solve first. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 7 is 34. Okay. And that's my answer. So that was an easy one. That only had 2 steps to it. My first step and my second step, and then my answer. You're going to notice that all orders of operation problems will move in this triangle. We go from a larger problem, we only solve one step at a time, and we slowly move down to a point of the triangle, and the point will lead to our answer. Let's move on to question 2. Now we have 12 plus 36, or 36 divided by 4. Which one should we do first? What is more important, addition or division? So I look at my think track, and I see addition is here, but I see division is there. I'm going to do that first. So I have, I rewrite everything the same, except I plug in my answer of my circled problem. My circled problem is 36 divided by 4, which is 9. The 12 and the addition symbol I just rewrote. Circle that. That obviously is my next step. And 12 plus 9 is 21. And that's my answer. And we're still getting this pyramid look. Okay, now we're going to get into a little bit of a longer problem. I have 9 divided by 3, 3 plus 4, or 4 times 6. Which one should I do first? Okay. Well, we see that division and multiplication are ahead of addition. Okay. But which one should I solve first, division or multiplication? Division's over here and multiplication is over here. But remember, division and multiplication have equal power. You move left to right. If I move left to right, what do I see first? I see division. 9 divided by 3 is 3. I rewrite, don't try to solve more than one step in, more than one problem in one step. Just rewrite the rest of the problem exactly as it appears. Now I have to make another choice. I have 3 plus 4 or 4 times 6. What should I solve next? Multiplication is more important than division. I rewrite the 3 plus exactly the way it is, and I solve 4 times 6, and it's 24. Circle, there we go. 24 plus 3 is 27, and that is my answer. Remember, you continue to solve only one new problem per step. Okay, let's move on to question 4. And let's rewrite our think track. P, E, M, D, A, S. Okay, take a moment to copy the problem down. And work through it with me. Okay, look at the problems and the steps you have. I can choose from 2 times 11, 11 take away 12, or 12 divided by 2. Multiplying, subtraction, division. I'm moving left to right. So therefore I'm going to do 2 times 11 first. 2 times 11 is 22. I am not going to solve any other problem. I'm going to rewrite everything else exactly the same. I'm only going to circle another problem. 22 take away 12, or 12 divided by 2. I look at my think track. Division is here, subtraction is here. Division is more important. So now I'm going to have 22 take away 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, and that's my last step to solve. 22 take away 6 is 16. And that is my answer. And I see I'm still moving in this pyramid. Okay, I'm going to solve this problem, and I want you to narrate the steps that I am taking. And it's okay to do a side problem. If you have problems that get larger, especially if you get into more difficult problems, do a quick side problem. My answer was 51. I had to do 2 side problems because as I get with larger numbers, it's not always stuff you can do in your head. So I showed 8 times 18 as a side problem, and I showed 144 divided by 4 as a side problem. And I only wrote the answer into there. Okay, and I came out with 51. So now question 6. So take a moment to copy down these 4 problems, or one at a time. Pause the video if you need to. Rewrite your think track. So now we're going to see something new in question 6. Okay, we see parentheses. Even though there's division and there's multiplication, parentheses always say you have to do me first. Even though there's subtraction inside of it, you still have to do that part first. Okay. So 67, do a side problem. I have 49. Once I use all the numbers inside the parentheses, I do not have to repeat the parentheses anymore. It's like I use them all up. I have 49 divided by 7, or 7 times 3. I can only solve one step at a time. And I'm going to solve the division first. Okay, even though division and multiplication are in the same level, and multiplication comes first in my think track, they have equal power. Whatever comes moving left to right, division comes first. 49 divided by 7 is 7 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21, and that's my answer. Okay. Now, question 7, we go into having an exponent. Okay. If exponents are tricky for you, then make sure when I create the exponent mini lesson, you pay close attention to that. What an exponent means, it's the second of importance. Exponent means this is my base number, this is my exponent. The exponent tells me how many times I multiply the base number times itself. So 5 times 2, or 5 to the second power, does not mean 5 times 2. 5 to the second power means 5 times 5. It's my base number of 5 multiplied times itself 2 times. So 5 times 5 is 25. Take away 8. And my next step, that was my first step, and my next step is subtraction, and I get to 17. So for question 8, we have 2 exponents, but I wonder which exponent I should solve first. 2 to the third power or 3 to the second power? First, you remind yourself what the exponent means. The exponent means this number, my base number, times itself this many times. So 2 to the third power equals 2 times 2 times 2. Okay. That comes first when I move left to right. So that is the one I'm going to solve first. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 to the third power is actually 8. I rewrite everything else the same. Now, I have a choice to make. I can do 8 times 3, or I can do 3 to the second power. What comes first, exponents or multiplication? Exponents come first. So I'm going to solve that. 8 times, now 3 to the second power means I'm going to multiply 3 times itself 2 times. 3 times 3, which is 9. So it's 8 times 9. 8 times 9 is 72. Okay. Give you a second to copy that problem down. Let's work through that problem. I see I have exponent, I have multiplication, I have parentheses, and I have subtraction. Keep talking yourself through the orders of operation. Okay, remember the exponent, 4 to the second power. The exponent tells me how many times I'm multiplying the base number times itself. So 4 to the second power means 4 times itself 4 times. So 4 times 4, I'm going to solve that. Oh, should I solve that first? I hope you're saying, no, don't do it. I shouldn't have solved that first. What was more important? Parentheses, that is more important. So I recopy this part, and then I solve what's in parentheses first. I hope you caught that. 8 take away 3 is 5. Okay, now I have a multiplication I can do, or I can do the exponent. Now it's time to do the exponent. And 4 to the second power means the base number of 4 times itself 2 times, which is 16 times 5. And that is my last step. And 16 times 5, do a side problem. That's 30. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. And my answer is 80. Okay, we have one more problem to work together, and then you can have, I'll show you another page you can work through yourself. Okay, so now here's another thing to put in our way. Move left to right. I have 2 sets of parentheses, but I hope you're noticing that when you have double of something, you always move left to right. Like here we had 2 exponents, but we moved left to right, and which one came first? We're going to move left to right, and we just keep solving which comes first. Okay, so since I have to solve this first, I'm going to look inside my parentheses, and then inside of my parentheses, I still have to follow this order. So inside my parentheses, I see multiplication and subtraction. But which one should I do first? Multiplication, because it's more important than subtraction. So parentheses, remember, you can only get rid of parentheses if you use all the numbers that are inside of it. So I'm going to remake my parenthesis. I'm going to write my answer. 7 times 8 is 56. Take away 4, because it's still in parentheses, and end my parentheses. I'm going to copy the rest of the problem exactly the way it's shown. I'm not done with this yet, so now I have to do this part. 56 take away 4 is 52. I can now get rid of parentheses because I've used up all the numbers inside of it. Divided by, rewrite the rest of the problem the way it is. Okay, now I have to deal with this set of parentheses. So I rewrite this the way it is, and I subtract 6 take away 2 is 4. I can get rid of parentheses because I used up all the numbers inside of it. And so now my final problem is 52 divided by 4. Let's do a quick side problem. 4 goes into 5 once. 4 goes into 12 3 times. Oops, sorry, that was off to the side. 5 into 54. And that is 13. So when there's orders of operation, we went from one step, looking very simple, all the way to question 10, where we had to make lots of choices as to what operation and what steps we solve first. Okay, so I'm going to show you, this activity. It looks exactly the same as the one I just worked with you now, but the problems are different. Okay, I'm not going to work through all of these with you. I will show you the answers, but now would be a good time to pause the video so that you can copy these problems down. Okay, work through them, and then I will give you the answer. Okay, so I'm just going to work through these, and you can see the steps. And as you're watching and you're checking your work with what you've done, because if you've wanted to complete these, you would have paused the video, copied the problems down, and work it out. And now you're just checking. And make sure you're narrating the steps that I am taking. Can you put into words the choices that I am making? Oh, see, I shouldn't have done that first. I hope you caught that. I did division first when I should have done multiplication first. A side problem. Now I can move on to that. $20, 42 plus 4 is 46. Sorry, my paper's crooked. Okay, how are you doing on these? Okay, so I have to go back to question 3, and something was bothering me with this, and I finally figured it out. So I put 51 in my divisor when it's actually a 54. So my answer was wrong. So this needed to be 3 into 54 and not a 51. And then when I work this out, it'll be an 18. I knew something wasn't right. So it should be 18 and then 18. And then 18 take away 8 gets me to 10. So that was the correct answer for number 3. And now number 4. It just shows you that no matter how many times you've done these problems or how much you've practiced, it's impossible not to make simple errors. So just make sure you're working carefully. You keep checking your think tracks. And if something doesn't seem right, then you go back and redo the problem. Okay, so let's go to question 5. You division first. 5 into 100 is 20. 20 times 3, take away 46. My basic fact is 2 times 3 is 6. And I add my base 10, 0 is 60. Take away 46. And when I do that subtraction, I am going to get 14. Okay. Keep writing your think track, noticing your signs. I was going to do 40 times 6 first, but now I think I should do 9 plus 21 first. Can you tell me why? Yes, because it's in parentheses. Rewrite the rest of the problem exactly as the way it is shown. Don't try to solve more than one step at a time. Then 9 plus 21 is 30. Another choice to make. And I'll take this. My basic fact is 6 times 4 is 24. Add my base 10, 0. That's math way back from September. Divided by 30. Here's another September trick. We can make this problem smaller. We can take our base 10 zeros off. Basic fact is 24 divided by 3 is 8. And there you go. 30 into 240 is 8. Okay. Work of my exponent. The exponent tells me how many times I multiply my base number times itself. So 7 to the second power actually means 7 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49 plus 3. And we get 52. Okay, more exponents. 5 to the second power means 5 times 5. Here's my base number. This is how many times I multiply my base number. 25 times 3 to the second power. Okay, exponents are more important than multiplication, so I solve that exponent next. 3 to the second power actually means 3 times 3. Here's my base number, and this is how many times I multiply that base number times itself. 3 times 3 is actually 9. Okay, do a side problem. 25 times 9. 9 times 5 is 45. I carry my 4. 9 times 2 is 18, and that's 22. And my answer is 225. Okay. Keep in mind that you are solving one step at a time only. We should be, with every step, our problem should be getting smaller, more of that pyramid shape. And when we get to the point, that is our answer. Okay, I'm going to work through this problem a little slower, and I want you, while I'm working through the problem, to be narrating, okay, what I am doing. What should I do next? My answer. I'm going to erase this because I'm going to need that space. Okay, here's our big problem. Let's make some choices here. What parentheses should I follow first? And then within the parenthesis, I have to make a choice too. I'm going to be careful to recopy everything as carefully as I can. Oops, see, I shouldn't have done that really. I should have just rewrote everything exactly the same. I solved 17 take away 3 is 14. Should have just rewrote that. Don't want to skip steps. Now I circle it. And I say 14 times 24. 23, sorry. I'm going to do a side problem. And that is my answer, 322. Okay? Where is that page? Lots of work. Lots of heavy work. Okay. That was the first page we did. And now this is the page in your book. I find these, majority of these to be pretty challenging. So I'm going to show you the problems. Okay. and then I am going to work through 2 of them with you, and then the rest I will show you the answer key. Okay, so for this first one, our numbers get a little higher. Oh, I should write my think track down first. PEMDAS. Move left to right. They have equal power. Okay, what should I do first? I'm going to do that first. 152, take away 12 plus 4. Addition and subtraction, they have equal power. I move left to right. I have 140 plus 4. 140 plus 4 is 144, and that is my answer. Now, these problems include brackets. We haven't talked about brackets. They don't come up a ton in 5th grade. But brackets, and then we might even see braces, okay, those are even more important than parentheses. You always follow what's in the brackets first. So this 12 is actually going to hang out a lot until the very, very end. We do what's inside the braces first, and then you got to follow PEMDAS when you're inside the bracket. So I make my square bracket, and then I solve what's inside of my parenthesis. 2 plus 2 is 4. I don't need the parenthesis anymore because I used up all those numbers. But I do need my end brace. I'm sorry, bracket. Okay, I'm not done with that. The 12 is still hanging out. Then I solve that. 4 goes into 8 twice, and I add my base 10 0 back on. And that's my final step. My basic fact is 12 times 2, which I know is 24, and I add my base 10 0 on. And my answer is 24. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the answers. We've worked through about 22 problems together. Okay, this is, if you don't want to see the answer key, then you can stop the video, or you can pause the video and work through the rest of the problems as best you can, and then you can compare it, or you can just watch. Okay. Okay, 5, 6, and 7 definitely get tricky. Think of that as your challenge. Okay, we completed 1 and 2 together. Work on the rest of the 6. And then I will see you for lesson 3 video next.